cannot save her. She is ours.
The heart-wrenching events of last night made Alex realize that they were dealing with something beyond their understanding, something ancient and malevolent. The realization that his daughter was in the grip of an entity so powerful it could bend the laws of nature to its will was terrifying. He understood that this battle could not be fought alone. They needed help, but not from this world. They needed someone who understood the darkness, someone who could fight fire with fire. The darkness that enveloped Alex and Elisa's home had spread its tendrils deep, but they were not the only ones caught in its chilling grasp. Father Damien Karras, a man of faith battling his demons, found himself standing on the precipice of a reality he could scarcely comprehend. His nights were plagued with nightmares, visions of an ancient evil that whispered his name, drawing him ever closer to the edge of an abyss he feared to gaze into. When Alex's plea for help reached him, Father Karras felt a resonance with the torment described, as if the forces that tormented Elisa sought him out, recognizing a kindred spirit wrestling with doubt and darkness. Yet, duty and a deep-seated belief in redemption guided him to the old house in Washington, D.C., a decision that would test the very limits of his faith. Upon entering, Father Karras was immediately enveloped by a palpable sense of oppression, as if the house itself were alive, breathing with a sinister pulse. But nothing prepared him for the moment he met Elisa. As he approached her room, the temperature dropped, and his breath was visible in the air. Inside, Elisa sat on her bed, her gaze vacant, yet filled with an unspoken horror. Father Karras attempted to speak, offering words of comfort, but was interrupted by a sudden gust of wind that extinguished the candles, plunging the room into darkness. When the light returned, Elisa was no longer on the bed. She stood in the corner of the room, her back to him, whispering in a language Father Karras recognized as Aramaic, the language of Christ. The words were not prayers but curses, ancient and vile. Then, without warning, Elisa turned her face a mask of rage, her eyes a void that seemed to pull at his very soul. Father Karras, undeterred, began to pray, his voice steady but filled with a fear he could not entirely conceal. As he did, the room shook, books and ornaments hurtling through the air as if caught in a tempest. Elisa floated upwards, her body contorting in grotesque displays of inhuman flexibility, her voice now a roar that drowned out the prayers of the priest. In that moment, Father Karras witnessed a manifestation of pure evil. It mocked him, using Elisa as a puppet to convey its hatred, not just for him but for all of humanity. The air was heavy with anticipation, as if the house itself held its breath, awaiting the clash between light and darkness. Father Damien Karras, accompanied by his assistant Kate Marin, a woman whose faith was as unwavering as her resolve, prepared themselves for the exorcism. The room where Elisa was kept had been transformed into a battleground between the earthly and the infernal. As they entered, the temperature dropped sharply, their breath visible in the air, forming clouds that seemed to be consumed by the darkness enveloping the room. Elisa was there, but it was clear that the girl who once laughed and played was far removed from the entity that now glared at them through her eyes, eyes that seemed to burn with a hatred older than time itself. Father Karras began the rite of exorcism, his voice clear and commanding, invoking the names of saints and angels, calling upon the power of Christ to banish the demon. Kate Marin stood by his side, her prayers a steady stream of defiance against the darkness. The demon responded with fury. The room shook, the walls themselves seeming to scream in agony. Objects levitated, hurtling towards them with lethal intent. The air became thick with a palpable sense of dread, a miasma that threatened to choke both faith and life from the room. The demon, no longer content with hurling objects or contorting Elisa's body, began to manifest physically. Shadows coalesced into forms both grotesque and terrifying, faces of those long dead, their eyes hollow, their mouths gaping in silent screams. But amidst the chaos, amidst the fear and the onslaught of hell itself, there was a moment of clarity. Father Karras, his faith tested as never before, found within himself a well of strength he had not known he possessed. With a voice that rose above the cacophony, he commanded the demon to reveal its name, for to know the name of a demon is to have power over it. The demon, caught off guard by the intensity of Father Karras's faith, hesitated. In that moment, Kate Marin, seizing the opportunity, pressed the attack, her prayers now imbued with a power that seemed to light the room, pushing back the darkness. The demon, now revealed and cornered, unleashed a fury unlike any before. Amidst this chaos, the demon turned its attention to Kate Marin, recognizing in her the strength of faith that could be its undoing. Yet, Kate stood resolute, her prayers a beacon in the darkness, until the demon, cunning and ruthless, with a swift, violent blow, struck her down, her body falling limp, her prayers silenced. Father Karras, witnessing the fall of his companion, felt a surge of despair. He realized the demon had offered a deal, a sinister bargain that would see Elisa freed in exchange for another soul. In a decisive, selfless act, Father Karras challenged the demon, offering himself as the host, a sacrifice to save not just Elisa but the soul of his fallen comrade. The demon, sensing victory, eagerly abandoned Elisa, its essence swirling toward Karras, enveloping him in darkness. With a final, defiant cry, a declaration of faith that echoed through the house and beyond, Father Karras commanded the demon to leave, using the last of his strength to push both the entity in himself through the window, falling to the ground below. The impact was fatal, a sacrifice that sealed the demon away, saving Elisa and avenging Kate Marin. As Karras lay dying, a peace descended upon him, the knowledge that he had succeeded, that his faith had held strong in the face of ultimate darkness. In the aftermath, as the dawn broke, Alex and Elisa, freed from the demon's grip, stood outside the now silent house. They were alive, but the cost had been immense. The scars of their ordeal were not just physical but soul-deep, a reminder of the night when hell had come calling, and heroes had risen to meet it.